Some reports are suggesting that the Toronto Raptors are looking to select a center in the 2025 NBA draft. But what if a player like Khaman Maluach isn't available? Would Derik Queen be a viable option? And potentially, could he actually be their first choice with the 9th overall pick? Let's get into it. This is Amateur Sports, the YouTube channel that is dedicated to providing you with Toronto Raptors content in videos like this, where we break down some of the biggest prospects the Raptors could select with the 9th overall pick and determine if that would be a good selection. What we're going to do over the course of the video today is discuss Derik Queen. We're going to look at who he is. We're going to look at his stats from his college season. We're going to look at his strengths, his weaknesses, a player comparable before finishing off by deciding if this would be a good selection by the Raptors. Because yes, there are reports suggesting that they are targeting a center with the 9th overall pick. And we know, especially from the video I did previously, my previous video, I talked about Khaman Maluach extensively, saying that is an excellent candidate to take. But Khaman Maluach may not be available at 9th overall. The Wizards at 6th overall could take him. The Pelicans at 7th overall could take him. The Nets at 8th overall could take him. He may not be available, and the Raptors could still be wanting a center. But some mock drafts would have it that Derik Queen could go ahead of Khaman Maluach. Some people say that Derik Queen is the prize for the Raptors. And even if Khaman Maluach is available, if Derik Queen is available, that's the guy that they should be selecting. So, polarizing player, exciting player for sure, but just who is Derik Queen? Well, he is a center coming out of Maryland, and he stands, I usually round up the height to 6'11" here, but I put 6'10.5" because 6'11" just felt like a lot bigger. I don't know. He measured at 6'9", just above 6'9" without shoes. The combine, basically, like, he's a little bit shorter than like what you would typically want for a center, which is why I didn't round up here. I don't know. Just 6'10.5". He probably would measure 6'11" in the NBA. Anyways, I did round up to a 7'1" wingspan. Draft age for Derik Queen. He's an older freshman, 20 and a half years old at the time of the NBA draft. So, has ability to play as a power forward, had been listed there previously, but I think for this upcoming draft, he's listed as center, and teams drafting will be looking to draft him as a center. So, why has Derik Queen become such a popular candidate to be selected in the lottery in the 2025 NBA draft? Well, it has a lot to do with the production that he displayed on offense in this season. 16.5 points per game, along with 9 rebounds. Good rebounder on both ends of the floor. Knows how to score the basketball, not really from the perimeter, not as much of a shooter even from mid-range, but knows how to use his body down low to get buckets. Decent passer, which isn't quite showcased with the 1.9 assists per game, but decent passer, especially out of the high post. Moderately efficient at 52.6% shooting from the field. Remember, a lot of these shots are down low, but still a good amount above 50% is good to see. Good free throw shooter for a center at 76.6, and overall true shooting percentage of 59.1, which is good to see. That is quite efficient to go with Derik Queen. And again, he is an offensive hub. That's why people have become enamored with the player. So to lead off the strengths, it isn't as much about how dominant of an athlete that he is for so many players. He's just got a great overall feel for the game, great touch. Like, even if he's not quite corralling a rebound, he's tipping it in the right direction. He's making the right plays down low on defense. He's making some good reads out of the post on offense, which leads to quite good interior scoring for the player. That is his bread and butter. It's using his body to his advantage, using his physique to his advantage to create good looks for himself at the rim. Decent passer and playmaker, as I said, has shown good flashes there. Slight concern that he had 2.4 turnovers per game compared to those 1.9 assists, which we just discussed. There are flashes there, but does need to clean that up a little bit. But a positive passer, it seems, as a big, even with the negative assist to turnover ratio. Shot flashes were there. He took 35 threes over the course of the college season, made 7 of them. That's 20% shooting from 3. Doesn't look like something that'll scale up extremely well into the NBA, but has some flashes of shooting in mid-range, which would be big for him. And we saw with the free throw percentage, there's a shooting stroke there that potentially an NBA team can work with. On defense, because of the height, there is a element of switchability. Athletics weren't the best, so we'll see like how he can defend the perimeter, but there is some element of switchability there. He has disruptive hands down low. Like, if he's getting to you early in your shot cycle, if he's getting to you early, or he's getting to you on your drive, he's got disruptive hands to nick the ball away be disruptive in those areas rather than more so the traditional center being one of those shot blocker, rim protection type players. And rebounding we saw was quite good. It was about 2.5 offensive rebounds per game. So on both ends of the floor, he can corral those rebounds. But I feel like for the strengths segment of this prospect video, I've been a bit more negative than in previous, because usually I save the weaknesses for this section, but like some of the weaknesses are quite glaring for the player, and we'll highlight them specifically here. This is not somebody you're drafting to be your defensive anchor. Like, he's not going to anchor your defense. He is not a rim protector. Like I said, he's got to get you early. He's got to get you while the ball is still down low. When you bring it up, he hasn't been a great shot blocker. He's not an explosive athlete that can get above the rim to make those blocks, nor is he an above the rim type of player on offense. A lot of the scoring comes from down low in the post, but it's not coming from above the rim. He's not getting above the rim to make those finishes. The shooting is a slight concern. Like, the fact that he's a very interior-oriented player, especially on offense, without being able to really protect the rim is a concern. Like, there's flashes there shooting-wise, but not a lot to suggest that the three-point shooting is going to progress quite a lot at the NBA level. So that's something absolutely teams should be looking at. And really wasn't the most athletic player. Looks more athletic than the combine stats would indicate, but it was quite a poor showing at the combine in the athletic categories. And it puts him in some pretty poor company, honest to goodness. Not a great look overall for a player that, isn't spreading their game to the perimeter really on either end of the floor, to not really be able to shoot the ball and to not be able to protect the rim. So I question the fit in the modern NBA for Derik Queen. Like, you've got a player here that can't play on the perimeter on either end of the floor, but isn't an explosive athlete who finishes above the rim on offense, and isn't a rim protecting shot blocker on defense. So it's like a weird style of player here. Clearly there is ability on offense, but there's going to be some swing factors for the NBA. I think the biggest swing factor has got to be the three-point shooting, and if he can harness that and get that to an NBA level and get it there pretty quickly. And overall, the game reminds me quite a bit of, I think a pretty good player comparable here is Wendell Carter Jr. I think there's a lot of similarities here. I think that the swing factor that takes Wendell Carter's game to the next level, which was not on display last season, but has been in previous seasons for the Orlando Magic, is the three-point shooting. Like, when Wendell Carter is shooting above 35% from three, he is astronomically more effective than when he's shooting in the mid-20s, which is what he was doing last season. But overall, decent feel for the game. Not a player that's going to dominate on defense, but maybe can play a part overall. I think that's why I go with this player comparable here. I've seen other comparisons to Zach Randolph. I can kind of see it maybe a little bit, but I don't quite get that same level of grit out of Derik Queen as we saw out of Zach Randolph, and that same element of finishing as we saw out of Zach Randolph, but also a somewhat decent player comparable there. So overall, is this a player the Raptors should be drafting? Well, if Khaman Maluach is on the board, then I would say absolutely not. Khaman Maluach, if you want a center and he's available, that's the guy you got to take. But what if Khaman Maluach isn't available? Well, Derik Queen presents an interesting case here. I've been mostly negative from this video, but that's mostly because of his fit in the NBA. If you can seriously trust Derik Queen to be the offensive hub for your team and to be an extremely efficient scorer on the inside, and you trust that you can work on that mid-range game and even maybe that three-point game to spread his offense out a little bit more, then that's something that you want to take on. But in the sense of the modern NBA, like, you're betting on a player who is very paint-oriented, who is not a very good athlete, and is not your defensive anchor who's protecting the rim. That's a weird player to take a bet on. Like, there's very, very obvious talent here. Like it's obvious there's talent here on offense, but to scale that to the NBA is going to be difficult, and you do have to question what the effect is going to be on defense. So for me, if the Raptors were to select Derik Queen, I would relish getting the opportunity to see what that development, what that progression could look like. But I think when it comes to my big board and when it comes to draft night, there's probably going to be a few players that are ahead of Derik Queen on my list. Khaman Maluach absolutely would be one of them. I think the Raptors have to be really, really sold on getting a center here to want Derik Queen at 9th overall, considering other players that could be available in that region. But I feel like I'm lower on Derik Queen than what the consensus is on this channel and Raptors media in general. So let me know what you think.